If you clicked on this video, there's a pretty good chance you're like me. In the morning, you prefer to wear your comfy clothes and walk a few steps to your office in your spare bedroom, as opposed to being tailed by a Dodge Ram pickup truck that's quite literally ramming your back bumper on your hour-long hectic commute into the office. You also prefer quality time talking to your family and friends over small talk with Karen from HR by the water fountain. And maybe you would actually like to genuinely enjoy a work-life balance. Surely that isn't too much to ask for, right? Well, apparently it is, since according to some sources, Americans are now working more hours than any other country in the world. I currently work from home for a great digital customer experience company. And before that, I also worked from home for another company. In fact, me and my husband have both only ever worked remotely, and we were able to get these high-paying positions pretty easily using a few best practices. And I can show you all what these best practices and tips are, and you can take action right after this video and be able to do the same. I'm going to cover the whole process in detail, starting with websites and methods for finding high-quality, high-paying remote jobs. I'll also talk about what you can do to give yourself a higher chance than any other applicant of getting yourself interviews, and also how to nail the interview itself to get you multiple job offers. So let's start with the best websites to find legitimate work-from-home jobs. By far the best website you can use to find jobs and also network on is LinkedIn. You can set up a really simple profile. The main things you have to include is a nice headshot of yourself and fill in your work experience and qualifications, which you can just copy over from your resume, so it's not really any extra work. But if you wanted to go the extra mile, you could always add an absurd amount of words to your header. Or maybe you can even skip applying to jobs altogether and just take the coveted role of LinkedIn influencer. If you don't want to even bother with that though, then that's okay, because as you'll see, most of the job postings link to the company's websites to apply, meaning the employers or recruiters won't be taking a look at your LinkedIn profile. So what you'll want to do is click on the job section, and then in the search bar, type in the title of the job you would like to get. We can use the example of a project manager, which is the career I'm in currently. Also, if you don't have any idea what job you would like to work, and you just want to see what's out there, you can leave this blank and LinkedIn will recommend you thousands of different jobs to choose from. So now in the locations field, type remote and then click search. You can see that the search is filtered for all remote project management positions in the United States. Another good filter to use is date posted to filter out all the old stale job postings that are likely not accepting any new applications, and also experience level and job type. Now you can go down the list of jobs and start applying to all the ones that you think would be a great fit for you. You can see that some of the jobs here have this little blue LinkedIn logo that says easy apply. These are the jobs that you can apply for with as little as a few clicks, which is amazing because it usually takes about 15 minutes to fill out a normal job application. But I will say that because these easy apply jobs takes a little time to apply, they will usually have a lot more applicants, so you will be less likely to get an interview. But don't let the number of applicants deter you from applying if you are indeed qualified for the job. In my experience, a good chunk of people will just click a few buttons to apply to the jobs they aren't even remotely qualified for. They usually just are trying to apply to as many jobs as possible in hopes of receiving one of them. Also, I wanted to share with you guys a really useful tip when applying for jobs on LinkedIn. Most of the time on a LinkedIn job posting, you can actually see the profile of the job poster. And if you have a LinkedIn Premium account, you can message a job poster directly to help you get an in with the recruiter and help increase your chances of getting an interview. This really does work very well, and my husband used this method to get the job he has right now. He applied for the role and messaged a recruiter this message, basically expressing his interest in the position, why he would be a great fit, and that he would like to find out more. The recruiter got back to him asking him to email his resume, and after that, she connected him to the head of the department. He then had 2 further interviews and was given the job offer. And all of this was possible just from a small, simple message to the recruiter that only took a minute. And even if messaging a recruiter from one company doesn't get you that specific job, it does set up a connection. So if you find a role at your dream company, message your recruiter and still don't get the job, you still walk away with a connection to that recruiter. And oftentimes recruiters will keep your resume on file so that they can reach out and fill positions that come up that match your experience. So the last thing I wanted to mention about LinkedIn is the job alert feature. You can set up job alerts for your specific job criteria. And once you do this, you'll automatically get sent a list of the jobs that fit your search criteria every day or week or however you set up your alert. You can also set up multiple alerts for different positions. So for example, let's say I'm also interested in digital marketing remote jobs. Then I can set up a new search filter and enable job alerts, and every day I will get brand new digital marketing jobs that I can apply to. The reason I like this is because it gives you the opportunity to apply for jobs as soon as they are posted on LinkedIn. In my experience, most recruiters don't usually wait a few weeks and then review all the applicants. They usually will interview on a first come, first served type basis. And you have the best chance of getting an interview by applying for the job on the day it was posted. Another great website for finding work from home jobs that I wanted to mention quickly is Indeed.com. This is just another great jobs website that allows you to filter for remote jobs. And what I like about it is that a lot of the job postings will provide a salary range, which is of course useful to know. Okay, so now that we've talked about the best ways to find high quality work from home jobs, let's talk about what you can do to give yourself the best chance of getting an interview. Every job you apply to will require you to submit a resume, and most of the time they will also ask for a cover letter. Both of these documents are crucial to getting an interview. And luckily for us, most people's resumes and cover letters are not really that great. So just by having a solid resume and cover letter, you can actually already be ahead of maybe 80% of the other applicants. My advice for nailing your resume and cover letter is to create yours by using a good template. A lot of universities have their resume and cover letter templates available for anybody on the internet to access. For example, you can search for and find Harvard University's guide to writing a great resume and cover letter. You can see here that they give great resume tips, action verbs to use, samples of resumes and cover letters, and templates. I've included a link to this resource in the description below, and I would recommend that you click on that link so that you can download the resume and cover letter template and fill them out with your own experience. And basically just use the samples they include as inspiration to write your own. So let's move on to the next stage in the job search process, and that is interviewing. Before I interview for a company, I always do 3 things. First of all, I practice what people call a resume walkthrough. This is basically practicing talking about your experience on your resume. And I know this sounds like something that doesn't really need to be practiced, but I found that this really helps me talk about my experience in a more articulate way that hopefully makes me sound smarter than I actually am. It also helps make sure that I highlight the things in my experience that are applicable to the job I'm interviewing for, that I know that they'll want to hear. The next thing I do is company due diligence. This is researching everything about the company, including what they do, their values, and really anything you can find out about them, which prepares you to ask really good questions and also answer many of their questions that they might have. So many people I know make the mistake of interviewing with a company without really having a firm understanding of what that company actually does. So if they get asked, "What do you know about us?" which is surprisingly a very common interview question, it just looks bad when you haven't got much to say. The last thing I do is prepare a good amount of questions to ask the interviewer. I will literally have a Word document sitting in front of me whilst I'm interviewing with all the questions that I want to ask the interviewer. Having lots of questions is probably the best way to convey to the employer genuine interest in the position and the company. I really like asking very specific questions about the company. It shows to the interviewer that I've really done my research and that I also know my stuff. And once again, it just looks bad if you don't have any questions. Like, even if you genuinely don't have any further questions, it's good to ask them a few anyways, even if you already know the answer to some of them. And if you want to know some good questions to ask, I've included a list of good interview questions in the description below this video. When it comes time to the actual interview, the first interview will typically be a phone call with HR, which is usually a pretty casual conversation to see if the job is even a good fit for you and the job is what you think it is. This is also a good time for you to get a feel if you think the company or role is a good fit for you. I've had several initial interviews that ended with me basically thinking, yeah, this isn't gonna work. After that initial call, you'll usually have 1 to 3 rounds of further interviews before the employer reaches a decision on who they want to hire. And hopefully the company is quick about scheduling these additional interviews, because otherwise it can be a full month of interviewing just to get to the last round to hear that you didn't get the job. A quick tip here though, if you are genuinely on a tight timeline and you've made it past the first round interview onto the next, you can reach out to the recruiter or interview coordinator you've been working with and let them know that you would greatly appreciate if they were able to move things along quicker, as you have a very tight timeline in which to interview. Maybe you had recently lost a job and you need to have a job as soon as possible to pay your bills, or maybe you have another offer that's pending your response. 9 times out of 10, the recruiter will understand and will do their best to speed things along on their end. Finally, let's talk about the post-interview stage of the job application process. There's not too much you can do here, but there is one thing that can't hurt to do. I always like to send a quick thank you email to my interviewer, just something along the lines of, "Hey, I really enjoyed chatting with you today. I'm really interested in the position with... Thank you for taking the time to interview me today. I look forward to hearing from you. Best, Carson." Just a nice friendly email that will hopefully help you come across as a person that other people would like to work with. Those are all my recommendations though of how to find and land your dream job. They've worked for me and I hope they work for you too. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, make sure you like it down below, and also make sure, if you haven't already, to get your 5 free stocks from Webull using the link in my description box below. But thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.